Okay, so I found this blog by Bart Ehrman. It's a post, Why I Am Not a Christian. Is Bart Ehrman a Christian? From April 2nd, 2022. It seems like a lot of people wonder why Bart Ehrman is a Christian. Is he or not? Hadn't crossed my mind. Of course, I'm Catholic. We don't think much about Protestant theologians. Okay, why I'm not a Christian. Scrolling down. This afternoon in my undergraduate course on the New Testament, I was lecturing on a mission and message of Jesus. We spent the semester so far, we're about halfway through talking about Jewish and Greco-Roman background of the New Testament, and then mainly about the Gospels. Okay, scrolling down, so they're studying the Gospel of Peter and the Gospel of Thomas. Peter's an interesting one because I think that was actually considered canonical some places. Thomas was not. I think, is that one of the Nag Hammadi ones? A lot was made by Elaine Pagels back in the 90s. So is Bart Ehrman like today's Elaine Pagels? I don't know. I just don't know much about him. Now that we have seen how the Gospels have portrayed Jesus, each of them in a different way. Well, yeah, obviously, different people experience people a different way. I think if you had 4 different people write about me, they'd probably write 4 different ways. One of them might write how great I was at karate and how I smiled when I kicked people's butts in the 90s. And then another person would say how much of a critical scholar I am, real Freirian pedagogue. And another might say how conservative I am, how I really want to conserve the good things while we find new things. And another might say how much I'm an ecologist. And another might say how great a band teacher I am. And another might say I'm a choir teacher. Another might say, I've had people at conference say I must be a guitar. I must have been a guitar major. Even though I taught myself how to play guitar, I was a percussion major in college. So I guess that would really be expected that we'd have different ways to describe somebody as complex as Jesus. If somebody as complex as anybody is going to be complex, I don't know. I guess you'd have to have a really simplified view of people. I think people are their 5-minute elevator speech. Maybe there are people like that, right? Especially at universities where you have to be so ultra-focused on one small area. It's not necessarily a bad thing, right? If you're studying, music, to be really into, the late Mozart piano works, right? And really not know much about early Mozart piano works, right? But, I don't know. Okay. So what can we say about the historical man Jesus of Nazareth actually preached and stood for? We will have sessions. Okay, going ahead. Jesus was a Jewish apocalypticist. Well, they definitely never used that term, but this is definitely how it was explained to me, I would say, back in the 90s, whenever I was doing confirmation with brother or somebody from the Benedictine monks. I would definitely say that he described John and Jesus and Paul and John the Beloved as apocalypticists. It's a hard word to say, though. Only a scholar can come up with some of that. Apocalyptical writers, apocalyptical thinkers, right? So, let's see. In today's lecture, I wanted to explain and argue the view that has been the dominant among critical scholars studying Jesus in the past century, that Jesus is understood as a Jewish apocalypticist. I warned the students that this is not a view they would encounter in church. Really? Did they read the Gospels? Jesus has apocalyptic writing. He talks about how the Pharisees can read the sky when it's red, but they can't read, the apocalyptic fact Okay, well, whatever. I mean, maybe he just doesn't go to church, or maybe maybe it's part of the argument. Let's see. But there are solid reasons for thinking this is right. I tried to explain to some length. Maybe it's just not popular in Duke. I don't know. What religion is Duke? Basketball. Wasn't that the school that was giving away free degrees to basketball players? They created a whole major that was a fake major so that they could go. Was it the religious studies major? They were all getting religious studies degrees from was it Bart Ehrman? No, that can't be. Must have been a different one. I don't know. That was some years ago. That was probably 15 years ago now. Maybe somebody has a better memory on which North Carolina University had all the fake degrees for their basketball team. Okay, let's see. But first I gave an extended account of Jewish apocalypticist beliefs. The entire cosmos was divided into forces of good and evil, and everything and everyone sided with one or the other. That seems fair. I mean, have you seen any of our presidential elections? The cosmic dualism worked itself out in historical dualism, makes sense, between the current age of this world controlled by the forces of evil, well, yeah, and the coming age controlled by the forces of good. Well, let's hope, right? We don't want, these politicians and these billionaires getting away with what they've done, right? Ravaging this world. The age would not advance to be a better world. On the contrary, apocalypticists thought this world was going to get worse and worse until literally, in the end, all hell breaks out. I guess because my philosophical granddad is Ivan Illich, I don't know. This idea of it getting worse and worse, that just seems like fact. I don't know. People don't read Ivan Illich as much as they did 40 years ago when he was probably one of the best known scholars in the world. But, I guess you erase people that are right about how technology has made our life worse, right? And how education has made people dumber and hospitals have made us sicker. I don't know. But I think Ivan Illich was right? And I think people that are surprised are probably either severely unread or we're just lying, right? They're just lying. Come and listen to me talk about Ivan Illich sometime. I don't agree with everything he said, for goodness sake, right? He was wrong about so much, and there's so much good we can get from technology, but man, a lot of it's just so true, right? How much would work be easier if we didn't have to do all the tech stuff plus the work we do? Tech plus work, plus tech, plus tech, plus tech. Data entry plus being a teacher. Data entry plus being a doctor. You just don't do your job anymore. You do tech. Anyway, godly intervention and judgment. But then God would intervene in an act of cosmic judgment, destroy the forces of evil, and set up a good kingdom here on earth. Oh, that sounds wonderful. That's what we say in the creed, right? The resurrection of the body and life everlasting. Every Catholic says that, right? Every Christian says that, right? Don't we all accept the Apostles' Creed? It's just basic Christianity. And he's surprised by it, and he teaches at Duke. I feel like Duke might have been hiring people that weren't going to out-publish the other people, maybe. Okay. Anyway, let's go on. This cataclysmic judgment would affect all people. Those who had sided with evil and prospered as a result would be destroyed, and those who had sided with God and been persecuted as harmed as a result would be rewarded. Yeah, that's the Bible. That's pretty straightforward reading of it. Yeah. Okay. Moreover, this future judgment applied not only to the living but also to the dead. At the end of this age, God would raise everyone from the dead to faith. We're talking the Apostles' Creed. Okay, let me skip ahead a little bit. Because, he seems to be, pointing out things that are pretty obvious that Christians would accept and that he rejects. And not a problem that he rejects it, right? You're allowed to be an atheist if you don't believe these things. Right? If you believe that after destroying the planet that people don't deserve their comeuppance, right? After raping and killing, people don't deserve their comeuppance, right? They don't deserve judgment. I don't know. Okay, well, and when would this happen? When would the judgment come? Ah, the when thing. Yeah, as we know, Joseph of Arimathea is still alive. Right? Wasn't that like whenever the medieval Catholics came across Mark 9, you know, that Joseph of Arimathea was still alive, and he was in England in a cave keeping track of the Holy Grail. Everybody knows this. This guy must have studied in the synagogue of Indiana Jones. I forget which one. Indiana Jones, right? You chose poorly, or maybe it's Monty Python, or maybe it's both. Maybe that's. Let's see. I'm gonna continue on because it's kind of funny. This is like, I know it's just a blog post. I'm sure there's more thinking in this than that. I'm sure there's more reasons why he's an atheist than a single line, you know. Truly, I tell you, some of you standing here will not taste before you see the kingdom of God come in power. Oh, not taste. Let me read that again. Truly, I tell you, some of you standing here will not taste before you see the kingdom of God come in power. Taste death. It should say taste death. It's just wrong. Yeah, right. Exactly. So what is the kingdom of God in that case? Is that like the kingdom of God is within you, like it says in the Bible? You know, is that the Pentecost described in the Bible? Right, what does that mean, kingdom of God? Is that the destruction of the temple and, what was it, like 70 or something? Not really biblical historian, somewhere in there, right? Is it the death of the Bishop of Jerusalem, James? I don't know. But yeah, definitely, there's stuff that happened within that time, right? The words of Jesus, Jesus was not talking about the kingdom you would enter when you died and went to heaven. No, we don't die and go to heaven. Heaven comes to us, right? That's not, dying and go to heaven is like, I don't know, Platonism? Okay, anyway. He was referring to a kingdom here on earth to be ruled by God, or as he says later, when asked when the end of the age would come. Truly I tell you, this generation will not pass away before all of these things take place. Well, yeah, they did take place, right? All the things he was talking about at that point, with so much destruction, with, there's still no temple in Jerusalem, right? Temple Judaism died. They had to create rabbinic Judaism. It's a beautiful thing. It became a religion of the book and not a religion of the sacrifices. It definitely changed, right? Okay. Well, I guess, that's it, because that's the end of this blog post. And the next blog post is on understanding the Old Testament, which is pretty awesome. I gotta check more of this blog out, because this guy obviously knows quite a bit about the Bible, more than I know, that's for sure. But yeah, that's the only reason he's not Christian. Fine. It's the reason I am Christian. Well, have a blessed day. Whatever you choose, right? Choose wisely. You chose poorly.